21st, 2022. We're going to go ahead and start with a roll call. Here. Here. Here.
Present.
Mr. Reyes is coming? Okay, so we just need a motion to excuse Mr. Campero.
A motion.
Motion by Mr. Martinez. Second by Mr. Hernandez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation by Luis.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A Christmas prayer. May the blessing of joy abide within you. May the blessing of peace rest upon you. May the blessing of love flow throughout you. May all the blessings of the Lord be yours at Christmas and in the new year ahead. Amen.
Amen.
For the record, Mr. Reyes is here. All right, we'll go line item 2, which is the Director's Administrative Report, and we're going to start with Crossings and Revenues Report for November the 22nd, 2022.
Good afternoon, Chairman, board members, city officials. For the record, Fred Brown, Director of Operations, City of Pharr. The Bridge Department, I'd like to present the crossings and revenues for the month of November, fiscal year 2022-2023. On page number 3, we have the southbound car crossings. For the month of November, we crossed a total of 42,460 cars, which represents an increase of 6,240, or an increase of 17.23% for the month of November. Also, I'd like to share with you the other crossings from other ports of entry. If you see pretty much all bridges from Laredo all the way to Brownsville had an increase on car crossings. We have Gateway, Bedro, Los Tomates, Freeway, Los Indios, combination of all 3 bridges, an increase of 51,457, or an increase of 21%. Eagle Pass, they had a total increase of 16,190, an increase of 7%. Laredo Bridge, they had an increase of 42,410, an increase of 13%. McAllen, Hidalgo, and Salduas, combination of both bridges, they had an increase of 38,239, an increase of 19%. Progreso Bridge, they had an increase of 4,450, an increase of 11.66%. Donna Bridge, they had an increase of 11,028 cars, which represents an increase of 25.86% increase. And Pharr Bridge again, we had an increase of 6,240, an increase of 17.23%. Again, these are cars that are traveling from U.S. to Mexico on all ports of entry, from Laredo to Brownsville. Page number 4, we have the truck crossings. For the month of November, we crossed a total of 60,811 trucks. Compared to last year's same month, we show a decrease of 5,487, which represents a decrease of 8.28% for the month of November. Also, I'd like to share with you all the southbound crossings from other ports of entry. We have Bedro and Los Tomates. They had a decrease of 76 trucks. Freeway Los Indios, 117 crossings, 11%. Combination of both bridges, a decrease of 193 trucks, which represents a decrease of 1%. Eagle Pass, they had an increase of 886, 3% increase. Laredo Bridge, they had an increase of 11,665 crossings, which represents an increase of 5%. Pharr Bridge again, they had a decrease of 5,487, a decrease of 8%. And the Progreso Bridge also, they had a decrease of 1,360 trucks, which represents a decrease of 30% compared to last year's same month. On the Lewis Bridge, these are empty trucks traveling only to Mexico, from U.S. to Mexico. They had an increase of 574 crossings, or an increase of 22%. Chairman, I'd also like to share with you some graphics as the reason why we had a decrease on the crossings. If you see on your screen, For the month of September 2021 to 2022, we had on the six axle, we crossed a total of 9,748 compared to September 22, 4,391. For October, on the six axle, we crossed a total of 8,811 compared to October 22, 4,218. In November, this information that I just gave you, we crossed a total of 2021, 11,200. For the month of November 2022, 3,856. So this, the 98% of these six axles represents the gas and oil. So as you know, we've been having a decrease for the past 4 or 5 months on gas and oil, and this is the reason why we have seen a decrease on the crossings. The trend will continue. I have also the December, January, February for six axle. December, we have total crossing 10,109. January, 9,611. February of this coming last year, we have a total crossings of 8,050. So everything should level by the month of March. So the trend will continue on the six axles.
And it doesn't look like, excuse me, it doesn't look like they're going anywhere else. It's just,
It's a
They're not
decrease
crossing?
due to the Mr. Eddie Gutierrez and Mr. Basan will give you an update on that as well.
okay,
Just giving you the numbers, but yes, it's on the loss of the gas and oil.
okay.
The loss of gas and oil, the crossings.
The crosses on the gas and oil, oh, no, yes, southbound, going into Mexico.
Okay.
And Mr. Gutierrez will elaborate a little bit more on this as soon as I finish with the report.
They didn't go through another bridge?
No,
that
sir.
you're aware of?
No, no. If you see the numbers on Brownsville and on Progreso, they have a loss as well. And if you see the five axle, there's an increase on the crossings. For September 2021 to 22, we crossed 44,321. September 2022, we crossed 48,000. On October, 45,000 for 2021, 49,000 for 2022. On November 21st, we crossed 45,808. November 22, 47,000. So the trend will continue all the way to February, and we should level we should be okay by March of this coming year, 2 more months. Okay. So again, Mr. Gutierrez will give you a more detailed explanation on the axles and the reason why we had a decrease on the six axle. On page number 5, we have the northbound. These are the trucks that are traveling from Mexico to the U.S. through the Pharr Bridge. For the month of November, we crossed a total of 56,312. Out of those, we had a total of 41,104 food trucks, loaded trucks, empty trucks, 15,208. Ag, 18,584, which represents an increase of 2,564 trucks, or an increase of 16% increase. Again, as you saw on the crossings, the five axle are increasing, yet the six axle are decreasing in the numbers. Okay. Compare for a combination of both southbound and northbound for the month of November, we crossed a total of 117,123, representing a decrease of 5,148, or a decrease of 4.21 on page number 6. Page number 7, we have the revenues. Total revenue collected for the month of November, we collected a total of $1,375,261, which represents an increase of $25,083, or an increase of 1.86%. Again, and one of the reasons that we had an increase is because keep in mind that we collect the 550 tolls leading to the Brownsville Port of Entry, and every month we pay them a total of $45,000 to $50,000. We keep a percentage of those revenue collected. And this is the reason why you see an increase on the revenues. Okay. Page number 8, we have the total crossings by axles. For cars, we crossed a total of 42,460. 2 axles, 2,897. 3 axles, 4,651. 4 axles, 1,323. 5 axle, 47,910. 6 axle, 3,800. I'm sorry, that's the typo there. 38,565. Mobile home 7. Wide loads 118. Special crossing 49. Total crossing 103,271 crossings. Chairman, that concludes my report on the crossings and revenues. If y'all have any questions,
Thank you, Fred.
again, Mr. Eddie Gutierrez will elaborate more on the six axles and the decrease on the six axles. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Line item B, which is the finance report for
Yes, Miss,
October.
we have a couple of, another item real
Okay.
quick, going off of what Fred was talking about. So real quick, for the record, Luis Bazan, Bridge Director. So one of the things that, as Fred was mentioning, I think to kind of shed, a brighter light on what's really happening without getting into the socio-economic issues and the factors that have been affecting trade for a couple of years now, after COVID. This is something we reached out to the Port of Brownsville to look into these, into what the oil and gas or the petroleum products that were crossing southbound through Pharr that had been seen such a big increase since 2017, going through Pharr. So what happened in Mexico, this is also government regulation in Mexico is going to eventually, as Pemex CEO is stating, that by next year, they're going to decrease their number of barrels of crude oil barrels también going into Mexico. So they want to start basically, building more refineries in Mexico and using their own oil and gas, therefore not requiring us to ship. So one of the things that's been happening in the last 3 years was that the pipeline was shut down. This is, again, we reached out to the people at the Port of Brownsville. The pipeline was shut down for about 2-3 years. So we saw a huge increase in oil and gas or tankers crossing through the Pharr International Bridge. In talking to them this week, they've been seeing a decline or a downward trend in that, because now anything that was going either through truck or rail is going through that pipeline, because in the last 2-3 months, they've opened up that pipeline again. So that's just one of the bigger issues that's going on right now. Yes, it might correct itself by March, but we don't know that for a fact. When it comes to regulatory issues and socioeconomic and other factors that are affecting this type of trade going into Mexico or other parts of the world, we're at the mercy of what happens with the governments, right? But I just wanted to paint a clearer picture when it comes to this pipeline issue, because that is what is it. Based on the numbers that we're seeing right now and the decline in the last couple of months, it's basically that. But we did put a study together. These are preliminary numbers. We'll have a more comprehensive report come January. We invited our Eddie Gutierrez to give you more of an explanation on these factors and paint a bigger picture on these numbers. So we'll invite him here real quick to elaborate more on this issue.
Thank you, board members, for having me here today. For the record, my name's Eddie Gutierrez. I'm with Bluestone Capital Solutions. I am the consultant for Pharr International Bridge. Just to give you some updates, I didn't want to show that what we'll particularly be talking today, we'll be talking about, again, just revisiting on Fred's presentation on the southbound truck crossings. Then we'll look at the southbound truck crossings on a six-axle. We'll do go back for 3 months. And then we'll look at the southbound truck crossing for 5 months. And then we'll look at some of the barriers, and we'll look at some of the factors that we assume are affecting some of the crossings for the six axles, which is basically all the oil stuff that's happening throughout the world. So on the first presentation, on the first graph that you have there, you have the southbound truck crossings. That is you're showing 2 years, and now the third year showing for October and November. And as you can see, for 2021, we still have strong numbers throughout the year. And then you're showing for October, you still have strong numbers showing for 23. And then we have that slight decrease in numbers for November. Okay. As we go what we like to do is focus in on September, October, and November. So here we're focusing on the six-axle truck crossings for September, October, and November of 21 and 22. So you see that for September of 21, we have 9,748 trucks crossing, and then we had a decrease of 5,357. It brought us down for 22. It brought us down to 4,391. For November, you see also the decrease. We went from 8,810 to 4,218, a decrease of 4,592. For November, the same. You had that 11,200 that Fred was talking about earlier. Now you see the decrease down to 3,856, a decrease of 7,344. Fortunate for the bridge, we've been pretty fortunate that our 5-axle crossings have offset some of the decreases that we've had in the 6 axles. The next slide shows The 5-axle truck crossings, as you see, September for 21 was 44,321. For 22, you're showing 48 for 23, an increase of 4,102. And the same thing, you see the increases for October and November, almost totaling, you could say, 6,000 an increase between both months. Some of the factors that we're seeing, that we assume, that we're speculating, that are affecting the oil and gas. On the next slide, you'll see that you have the recession fears that we have. We also have Mexico has halted the oil exports. We also have where Mexico is on a quest to produce and increase and be self-sufficient with through Pemex. Fortunately, here they do have one Pemex plant in Houston and in Galveston, and we're still exploring to see how they're going to cross that crude oil into Mexico, whether it's through ship containers or whether it's through railroad or through it trucking through the port of Brownsville. The other one is also they're increasing the utilization of their pipeline capacity. In 2018, they were at 21%. They're now at 53% of capacity on that. So that means less trucks. They're using less trucks to do that. They're using the pipeline. And then also, we're not really sure about this one, but there's a lot of talk about the Russian oil exports and how it's taken a crash on the exports decline. So we expect this. We're not really sure if it's affecting the exports from, they're coming through the port of Brownsville, but we put it in here. We're going to do a little bit more study on it. We'll get a more comprehensive report that will give you more answers on the 6-axle decrease in crossings. So the next slide, just a little, Russian recession fears that we have. Of course, we just had another bump in interest rates that went up 50 basis points. So that's affecting the economic slowdown. We're also looking at skyrocketing oil prices. In the past 3 weeks, the barrels have gone down slightly. We still have inflation that's still going up. That has not stopped at all. And then we still have a foreign war that's happening in Ukraine, whether we're interested in that or not. But we'll drill down further to see if any of these are affecting us. The next slide shows how aggressive Presidente Obrador is in halting any buying from abroad. So they want to really stop that, and they want to produce, and they're in a quest to produce everything in Mexico. So this is some of his comments that he's made, some of the things that you're finding out there as you're doing research. The next slide also has the capacity, the increase in capacity of the pipeline, and how the commissioner of the Federal of Electricidad in Mexico has said, "Hey, we're gonna start shipping everything through the pipeline as possible." And here's some of the examples. So you see them going from 21% in 2018. Today they're exporting from the U.S. into Mexico 53% of that through the gas line. The last one there is also Russian oil production. Here recently, they've cratered. They've gone 54% in any exports to any place at all. No tankers are willing to ship for them at all. So I'm not sure if that's affecting them here through our port, but it's good to mention it, and it's good for us to look into it to see if it's going to affect us in any way. This is a short presentation. We just wanted to put this out there because this is what we're looking at in our 6-axle declining figures. We're going to come back, do a more comprehensive report, bring it on behalf of the board so that we can review that. At this point, I'll open up for any questions or any comments that y'all would like to make.
Any questions? I have a number of comments, but I understand the complexity and what's happening with the oil and gas. My comment's not really towards this, but kind of what we've talked about in the past, at least with regard to strategic planning. I know you guys are working on that, but how do you avoid it? You really can't, right?
Mhm.
You guys are staff's doing the best that they can to pivot and work through these obstacles, which really are out of our control. But preventative, it's really difficult. It's just trying to find a way to maneuver through it as best as possible. But with the objectives that we have for next year, the only way, I mean, get ready because there's going to be more coming, and it's all going to be economic driven.
Yeah.
Whether right now it's 6-axle, and your next report's going to be 5.
Mm.
How do we avoid it? Well, we just continue to have to be diverse with the way we've been touching all the industries. Staying as involved as we are. Hence the sponsorships and all member organizations that we're a part of, really, that's going to be the key, because this is going to continue. There's another interest rate hike come February,
Mhm.
and it will probably. There's so much more on the economic side that we can be here the rest of
Absolutely.
the rest of the session. So yeah, it's just I guess be prepared, because there's going to be much more from our side, though. From the preventative side, I think the only thing is just to continue staying involved with all the member organizations, and just making sure we're in touch with the users, right? Anything else?
And then, I guess just to make a note, I mean, we're all aware that it's cheaper to put it through the pipeline than it is to truck it. I
Mhm.
mean, it's just common sense, you know, that we're doing it because of other issues that we're having in Mexico of not putting it through pipelines. But with that in mind, what was our constant benchmark at 6 axles before the spike, because they were, refusing to send it to the pipeline? As far as, do we
I
have
mean, like
that?
historically, what we had, the 6 axles crossing.
Yeah, like you said, it increased in 2018 because they went from using most of it through the pipeline through using only 21% because of, they were stealing it basically. So now the question is, what was our benchmark back then? Like, what were we really crossing without this spike? And that, like Tony said, it was the downturn
What was
and
the
the,
norm?
yeah, what
Yeah,
was
what
the
was
norm?
the- so-
Because the spike, we couldn't even control it ourselves either. So, you know,
The normal, back in 2018, it was $3,000 to $4,000.
okay.
I mean, daily, since we have the increase, we have seen a daily increase of 200 trucks up to 300 trucks daily more to the public when we have that increase.
When that spike happened.
Yeah.
And the spike, Fred, was it 2018 or was it 2020?
You would say 2020.
That's what I remember, 2020. So
All right. So, about 3,000 some trucks as our benchmark.
We'll make sure and outline that on the more comprehensive report, so y'all can see a history on that also.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments?
Fine.
No. Thank you. Luis?
I'm just gonna hand out this real quick outline that I have, based on some of the comments that were being discussed right now. I won't go into
Thank you,
it
Luis.
totally, but I just wanted to give a quick update on that. So yes, as we've been seeing, things are changing. Again, there's a lot of economic factors. There's been supply chain issues. There's been labor shortages, less truck drivers. I mean, we've even talked to companies that are having to actually cannot even, como dicen, no pueden ni cotizarle a un cliente porque no se dan abasto. ¿Verdad? But I wanted just to kind of lay the groundwork to something that's coming here next year, something we've been talking about here for the past several months. So basically, when you look at a strategic plan outline for the bridge, I wanted to mention again that this is following the city strategic plan. And the strategic objective overall under the city strategic plan is to optimize the operations of the Pharr International Bridge. And the 3 objectives are to increase bridge crossings and revenues, complete scheduled projects, and develop master plan for maintenance and repair. This is all set in stone right now under the city's master plan. Now, the bridge strategic plan, we had a preliminary proposal last month. I'm hoping that with the authorization of city management and the board's blessing, we can bring that back in January. And that'll set the pace for the next few months in the start of 2023. Now, when it comes to the initiatives, the ongoing planning and development, and or as I call it, the strategic planning that's already in the works, this is what we have: analysis and studies. And Eddie will talk a little bit more about that in the back. Trade numbers, import, just to name a few, with the trade numbers, the import-export analysis we did a year ago, the stevedore business plan. There's a few things that we already have in the works, others and other miscellaneous that we're working on. Our projects, including this one, our projects, our DAP 15 and DAP 16, our bridge expansion, our office expansion phase 3, that's another one. More importantly, for the future, out to 2050, not in the next 5 years, not in the next 10 years, 2050. As I've mentioned before, we're part of a bigger scope, which is basically the Border Transportation Master Plan. this is, this is region wide. This is basically statewide. And we've been active participants for the past 2 years. We had our first preliminary meeting yesterday with the folks. It's a new group of consultants, TTI, Texas Transportation Institute, to go over the projects, the 23 plus projects that we submitted under this border transportation master plan 2 years ago. And this is basically to highlight the projects that are going to be feasible going forward in the future. Obviously, that's going to depend on the needs of the port in the future. The outline of what CBP and the other operators inside the port are requiring. But I'm happy to say and report that in the next 6 months, we'll actually trim that list down or make it a little bit more of a feasible list. But we are planning for the future. Again, as Tony was mentioning, and you mentioned it too, Edgar, marketing and sponsorships, the travel and promotion, that's been one of our key things at the Pharr Bridge. One of the things that's allowed us to be trendsetters in trade and the economy is basically to join up with these trade associations across the board, not just locally, but nationally. And we've been very successful at that. Like anything, everybody wants a piece of the action. So that's why we have to stay adamant and stay on top of things and require these meetings in order to move forward some of these associations. Government engagement. We just met the new aduana administrator. The previous one had only been here for 8 to 9 months. So now we're having to start again from scratch, go introduce ourselves, talk to them, and let them know what we're working on for the future so that we can work collectively to ensure that we have what do you call it, a plan to move product a lot faster through this port. And then the proposed yearly travel calendar that we do every year. So this is just a travel calendar. That's not saying that we go to all of these, and actually that's going to also depend on the city setting aside or putting together a policy for travel. And then the organizational chart. So I can go back in 2017, 2018. I don't remember exactly when we did the 5-year budget. Back then, we were already thinking strategically and how we were going to grow the organization. Now that's something we have to continue looking at year after year. And for the past 2 years, we brought ideas to the board. We brought ideas to the city commission and city management. And, unfortunately for us, for this year, we were not able to get a lot of what we've been asking for. But going forward in the future, again, we are planning for these growth opportunities for staff development and departmentalizing. One of the things we've been trying to do at the bridge is have a mid-management level, which we don't currently have. We started it 2 years ago. We want to get to the next level, but that's going to take time and effort to make that happen. If obviously a good budget. But again, I just wanted to kind of paint an overall picture of what we're working on. Next month, if I'm authorized, I'll bring T-Mac back and see what the board decides on that.
All right.
Anything else?
Any questions? All right, we're gonna go ahead and move to line item B, which is the finance report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we do have Carla Saavedra, Finance Director.
Hello, good afternoon. Carla Saavedra, Finance Director. I just want you to focus on page 1. This is the report for the first month of the fiscal year. The numbers are you looking at here is as of October 2022 compared to last October 2021 and compared to budget. So if you notice in the first graph, I have a total budget of 1,469,000. That number represents the targeted, I guess, optimal projection for toll revenues to be collected in a month. We actually collected $1.4 million, 1,445,000. So it's slightly less than budgeted, but we're there. We're still almost meeting the budgeted projections. And of course, it's still higher than last year. Last year, we collected 1,411,000. I also added a little graph to the right. If you see, I'm describing the other revenue sources that the bridge has. I did not have these breakdown in the previous reports. I'm just showing, this is just for the month of October. I'm showing the interest income that the bridge is generating because of the proceeds that are in the bank and the rental income that we receive from, all the space, the building space that the bridge has for storage units and for WETA. And then at the bottom, just the total expenses. This is just for 1 month. And as always, as I mentioned, the transfers out, it's pretty much what makes up the majority of the expenses, but they are within the budget. The next page is also just to give you an idea, the budget comparison. So right now, as of October, it should be at 8%. So the red pretty much, as long as it's within the 8%, we should we're okay. It's within budget. The only line item that, of course, it's usually depleted in the first month is the insurance, because that's a one-time payment and it gets paid in October. Other than that, everything else pretty much seems in line. And then on page 3, I've had this amortization schedule in previous reports. I just highlighted the total payment that it's going to be for this fiscal year. So the $2.8 million is what we're looking at in debt service just for those bonds, just so that you have it
For the year.
in the year. It's a year. And of course, I guess with the interest revenue that we're getting, it kind of offsets a little bit the payment that we're gonna make. So just to note on that. And then the very last page is just what Mr. Browen already went over. Everything pretty much went up except for the southbound. I guess what I care the most is that the revenues are still up and are still higher. And hopefully we just keep increasing the numbers, and that's about it. And again, remember that this is for October. We're a little bit behind right now because of a shortage of staff, but hopefully next meeting I'll be able to present, I guess, as of December of 2022. Any questions?
Any questions? Help us with our budget. We need to feed the monster that makes us some money. Yeah.
What was that?
I say, help us with our budget. We need to feed the monster that makes us our money. Yeah.
I know.
So,
We'll get there.
thank you.
Thank you.
Carla, did we budget for any potential downfalls on crossings for this fiscal year?
Well, potential fault, we were conservative. If that's what you're asking, yes. Yes, we never, I always, and Luis knows this, we try to stay on the conservative side, so we should be okay. That's all I can say. Yes. Mhm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and move on to the engineer's report, line item C.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we do have Ruben Alfaro, city engineer.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. Ruben Alfaro, City Engineer for the record. I'm going to present to you on the progress of the bridge projects. For DAP 15, recent work has been doing installation of AC unit roof curbs. It's in progress at the inspection booths at both the second BSIF exit and the northbound lane expansion. And they've also been doing installation of stucco on the primary canopy ceiling. They're also installing the finish coat, the color for the soffit area. It's also in progress. For the RPMs, they're installing the electrical conduit and the wires, so they're doing that as well. They haven't finished. And they are installing the electrical wire and the light fixtures on the northbound lanes as well. On the second BSIF exit, they're tying the reinforcement for the generator foundation for the grate beams. The generator is in back order, or we're setting everything ready for when it gets here. We just need to install it, and we should be completed. And the installation of the AC ducts, diffusers, and grills inside the inspection booths is in progress as well. Also, we're mowing the construction area and clearing all the excess material in the staging areas. That's in progress. Finishing touches. Time to date, it's 833 days, which is 117%. There's been a lot of weather delays, as you all know. These few months have been a lot of rain. We have placed 93% of the funds, which is 3.3 million. Upcoming activity for both of these projects is a final inspection on the 25th of January. With GSA and CVP, and then we expect to do a project closeout on the 16th of February, as per the latest schedule. And then for the second BSIF exit is the same upcoming activity. We just have at 89% of the time, and we have placed almost 4 million of the funds. For DAP 16, we received additional comments on the 100% revised plans on December 12th by TxDOT, and the consultant and us as a city were working on the necessary revisions for those 100% plans. Additionally, we accepted 3.4 million in additional funds that we requested from TxDOT, and this is to account for cost escalation and inflation. TxDOT granted us those 3.4 million. So next steps will be submitting 100% revised plans to TxDOT in the following month. That's not anymore our critical path. Our critical path is, since we accepted those 3.4 million in funds, we need to do a STIP amendment and an AFA amendment, which takes like 5-6 months to do. So we're looking at a letting date of fall 2023 for that project. And then for the international bridge expansion, the consultant submitted 95% on December 5th as it was scheduled, and we were waiting on 60% comments. We just got them today from Bridge Division. So they should be working on those as we speak, and then the next steps is just to continue working on the 100% plans, and they should be submitted to TxDOT on the 30th of January. And based on that, we'll just be pending the environmental studies and the reviews, and once we get those permits, we will be ready to let the project. Recent activity again, SEA visited with Cascan, the bridge offices on November. They had a pretty good meeting. They look at all the issues on the differences on the plans. They were able to fix it. They were minor things. And then, as I said, the final geotechnical report was part of the 95% submittal to TxDOT this month. That's all I have for the projects. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
On those DAP 15s that you're gonna finish, those are not gonna, the exit will it be used automatically or instantly?
Yeah.
Okay.
We expect them to be delayed as we were because of the rains. So I'm expecting them to have a later date than February. But the latest date that we have from them is February.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
We move on to the director's report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, city administrators, I do have a quick video that we want to play. Speaking of trade associations and speaking of partnerships and developing those relationships going forward to increase, obviously, our crossings and revenues for the future, we recently signed an MOU, or what we call a global entities partnership with ANIERM. ANIERM is basically the Asociación Nacional de Importadores Exportadores de la República Mexicana. This is an opportunity that came to us. We went for it. And it looks like we're going to play a quick video of what this entails. And, you know, now the real work begins, right? What do we do after this? What are we going to do with this MOU? And who are we going to go bring through the Pharr Bridge as far as new products, new technologies, new commodities? I'm sorry. This memorandum actually is important for the Pharr International Bridge because we're not just building for the future, we're positioning ourselves strategically to capture future trade. But one of the things we need to also keep in mind that we have to invest is in building relationships.
It's to promote our international bridge because they're the ones that facilitate the export and import of products. And since we're the #1 crossers of produce, it's very important that we have the relationship that we have with them to establish a partnership and help each other in our endeavors to promote the export and import of products into Mexico, to the United States, all the way to Canada.
Y que cada día haya mayores productos con las calidades necesarias para el consumidor de toda nuestra región. Desde el sureste, que produce productos perecederos con una calidad sin igual y que lleguen adecuadamente con todo el tratamiento, con toda la calidad, con toda la logística necesaria.
These regional partnerships are very critical to the growth of trade, to the efficient movement of trade, because we can have trade as much as you want, but when we don't move it efficiently, it's going to cause economic issues. So that's why we need partners like Pharr Bridge.
A lot of exciting news. Everybody seems to be hyped up about this. So at the end of the day, you know, what do we say in the city of Pharr? Excellence every day. This is just going back to excellence every day. We're always looking for innovation. We're always looking to improve on things. This is one way that the Pharr International Bridge, the city of Pharr, is going to continue to improve on what we're already doing, but at a better level, at a higher level.
So that, again, that just highlights and explains what we're trying to do here. And now the real work begins, right, for this coming year. But it's part of our overall strategic plan. Again, based on that outline that I gave you, all these 4 pillars have to all coincide and work together and align in order for this strategic plan to work. Next up, I do have unless there's any questions on that, I'll go to the next item that I have.
No.
So as you know, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, city administrators, we've had Index or the Fundación Ramac. They've had their golf tournament in Pharr for the second year in a row. We've been blessed to have them as partners as well. And we invited Mr. Mike Myers, the one that puts the whole show together, to give a quick update on how much money was collected and where those donations are actually going to, those proceeds are going to. Mike?
Good afternoon. Good seeing y'all. Pharr Bridge Board, the people from Pharr, my friends at CVP, and everybody else here. I think we have the presentation up here, Steve. And I'd like to say, of everything, thank you so much to the Pharr Bridge Board for donating the $10,000. You're one of our biggest sponsors. To our golf, I represent the Maquila Association, our local Maquila Association, and my specialty now is I get to do the fun things. I get to handle social responsibility and giving back to the community. So just wanted to let you guys know that thank you for the $10,000 donation. You guys can go to the next step. We took that $10,000 and held a golf tournament at your all's golf course, Tierra del Sol, where we spent $25,000. So it's a great investment for Team Pharr, because we took the $10,000 and spent over $25,000. And at the end of the day, we raise, and what we do is we take all the money comes in, we pay all the bills, and we donate the net proceeds to 6 different foundations. We select different foundations, and here's pictures of where we give that money away. We did last week, and we donated over $100,000 back to the community. So it was a win. Thank you all for giving us the donation. A win for Team Pharr, because we were able to donate back or not spend that money in the city, and then donate $100,000. And you can see the different charities up there. CCTE, Miradas de Esperanza, that's a little blind children's, and it's not an orphanage in Mexico, because in Mexico, you know, here we have orphanages because people can actually adopt kids. In Mexico, you can't adopt the kids. They have them when they get these kids in the street, they have to raise them till they're 18 or become adults. So they have them for all 18 years. And so Miradas de Esperanza, they specialize in the blind, and they have a lot of blind folks. We give some to Teleton, the food bank, Rio Bravo Ministries. Again, that's a Christian-based, small little organization. They're right behind Parque del Norte. It's amazing. Not only do they educate their own kids, they educate the neighborhood kids. And then the same thing with Children's Haven International. Actually, their office is here in Pharr, up on Minnesota Street, but their Casa Hogar is on the way out of Monterrey. So we take the money. We have we bring all the industry together at Tierra del Sol, and then give it all back to the community. I wanted to actually leave you guys some caps from the event, from that we purchased from Tierra del Sol. Thank you. And again, from the Pharr International Bridge, that was part of your all sponsorship. Thank you guys so
Thank you,
much.
Mr. Myers.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
Oh, well, it's, you know, when you
Thank you,
move
Mike.
along later in life, you start to get to do the fun things. I've been on the bridge, I've been on our board for 14 or 15 years, our McKeel Association board, and used to get to deal with CBP and the security problems. And now I get to just do the fun things. I get to just do handle social responsibility, which is a lot more fun than those other work things. And I also got some caps for you guys too. I'll leave them with Freddie for the staff. You guys worked so hard to help us put this thing together, and I'll leave them for Freddie. And I don't know what to say, but thank you for helping us give back to the community. I'm looking forward to 2023 when I'll have to come back and see you all. First of all, I have to go see my board and see what we're going to do for our plans for 2023. But God willing, and si Dios nos presta vida, I hope to see you back soon with my hands out, and hope you guys can give me more so we can turn it around and invest more in the community. I know it's tough times, but you know what? We had one of these in the middle of COVID because the needs don't stop. Actually, the needs get bigger. And so I'm not embarrassed. Para eso no tengo abuela. I will come and ask you guys for more money, okay? I don't have a problem asking for money because I see where the money comes in, what we do to it, and how God makes it bigger, and we get to give it back to the community. I love you all. Thank you so
Hey,
much.
Mike, just a quick comment. I was at
Any
Mike,
questions for me, all?
I was at Casa Hogar, coincidence, in November. My wife and I volunteered with Casa Hogar here in Reynosa. And it came up that I had seen, I guess, some sort of alliance that you guys have. So it's great. You know, the work that's being done there. So it's great. It's sheer coincidence.
It's
Pure
not.
coincidence.
No such thing as coincidence, sir.
Yeah.
God put you there, and He put
Yeah.
us there too. And I don't believe in coincidences anymore. And it's a small world.
Yeah, you guys are doing great work. Thank you.
Thank you for your help, sir.
We couldn't do it without you guys.
Thank you.
And you guys couldn't
Well,
do it without you.
keep
Thank
us
you
in
all.
mind when you go to your board.
Yes.
Keep us in mind when you go to your board.
Thank you so much, Mike, and to the rest of your team, and thank you to the board again for this wonderful gift. Further adding to that, and speaking of giving back, you know, there's an organization that's not yet up there. It's out of Reynosa too. It's called Abrazos y Sonrisas. It's an organization that my wife and I have been giving to for the past 3 years, and I know some board members have given to them as well, and some other customers. We've been blessed this year because we're collecting toys, thanks to Freddie and some of our sponsors for our bridge events in the last couple of months. We were able to collect a lot of toys. These are going to be distributed on January the 6th for Dia de los Reyes. So that's what the same thing that they do. They go to the hospitals, they go to the local hospitals, to Casa Hogares, to where children that are in need. A lot of these children do not have parents. They're sick. So it's not just toys, it's candies and monetary donations that we've been talking about for the past few years. So again, that's going to be up and coming. We're hoping to get them into the index tournament for next year as soon as they get everything, all their legal paperwork straightened out as far as as a non-profit organization in Reynosa. So we're looking forward to that. At this time, if there's no further questions on that, I'd like to call Ezequiel Ordóñez to give us, this is something we promised you last month. He's going to be very quick about it. It's a Mexico Liaison Quality Report, and this is to end the calendar year. Ezequiel.
Buenas tardes, Ezequiel Ordóñez para el récord. No, estoy bien, estoy bien. Buenas tardes, Chairman Delgadillo, City Manager, miembros del Consejo. Voy a ser breve porque son bastantes slides, pero voy a detallar nada más los resultados en 9 meses. Es una breve descripción de lo que hemos trabajado junto con el equipo del Puente en México y junto con la ciudad y algunos miembros del Consejo. Hemos estado participando en eventos, seminarios y foros. Fueron aproximadamente 15 durante 8 meses. Se podría decir que fueron 2 eventos grandes en México por mes. Participamos en diferentes sectores, que es el vertedero, la logística, transportes, comercio exterior, industrial, automotriz y autopartes. Todos estos diferentes sectores son los que hemos estado trabajando junto con la dirección del Puente con el plan estratégico que está manejando tanto el puente y la ciudad en México, que son la mayoría de sectores que están cruzando por nuestro puente. ¿Dónde hemos estado todo este año? En diferentes regiones y estados en México, como es Querétaro, Villahermosa, Tabasco, el puerto de Veracruz, Guadalajara, Monterrey, San Pedro, Ciudad de México, una vez al mes por lo menos, y Reynosa y Ciudad Victoria con el nuevo gobernador. Empresas recibidas de acuerdo a estos eventos que hemos realizado en México, hemos recibido a cerca de 20 gentes como de gobierno federal, como de gobierno estatal y empresas y corporativos, tanto de perecedero como industriales. Y sumando un poquito lo que dijo la persona del INDEX, participamos este año en el INDEX nacional, que INDEX es la industria de exportación de maquiladoras de México hacia Estados Unidos, y viene siendo como nuestro 60% que atraviesa por el puente. En lo que es el lobbying y la gestión, tuvimos 17 visitas en la Ciudad de México, en Monterrey, así como la Ciudad de Victoria, que con el nuevo gobierno, tanto de Reynosa como del estado, con el nuevo gobernador. Estas gestiones de lobbying, así como las reuniones especiales en México, fueron para darle seguimiento al segundo cuerpo del puente que iniciaremos en la primera semana del 2023 de enero. Lo que quiero comentarles es que vamos en tiempo récord. Ya en el lado mexicano tuvimos que hacer un poco de tiempo para iniciar operaciones o construcción del puente, pero vamos a empezar con lo que es el acceso a la aduana y ya tenemos el patio. ¿Por qué digo tenemos? Porque nosotros estamos monitoreando todos los movimientos que están haciendo nuestra parte mexicana para el inicio de la construcción del segundo cuerpo. Y en conclusión es esto lo que quería decirles sin extenderme mucho. Y bueno, nada más una serie de fotos donde hemos estado platicando y hemos estado recibiendo personas y hemos estado en México y aquí, como Banobras, Comunicaciones y Transportes, estuvimos en México, estuvimos en Querétaro, Index Nacional, estuvimos en Logistic Forum, que fue en Tabasco, manejando la región del Golfo de México, y para el 2023, dentro del plan estratégico que está manejando el director del puente, Luis Bazán, es volver a iniciar otra vez con el lado del Pacífico, que es Sinaloa, Guadalajara, Michoacán. Tuvimos con Comce Nacional también unos webinars y unas visitas a unas plantas en la ciudad de San Pedro y Apodaca. Estuvimos en México en Relaciones Exteriores. Tuvimos unas binacionales, estuvimos en el CAREN con todos los presidentes a nivel nacional. Bueno, me voy a ir más rápido porque sí son bastantes. Solo voy a nombrar algunas más importantes, que es en el lobbying, que es Comunicaciones y Transportes, es federal, son nuestros promotores del segundo cuerpo en México. El gobierno de Nuevo León abrió un área de clústeres, tanto industriales, agroindustriales, automotrices, y hemos estado participando con ellos de la mano, igual que con los de Reynosa y a nivel nacional. Me voy sobre las fotos rápido. Seguimos trabajando con Index, Coconal, que es el contratista nacional, que está del lado mexicano, que es nuestra contraparte, y va a ser la constructora del segundo cuerpo. Como les dije, estuvimos en Tabasco, estuvimos en Monterrey en una automotriz. Tuvimos una reunión con el embajador de México en Washington, y la verdad era como para ponerlo al día del proyecto que está desarrollando tanto México federal como la ciudad de Pharr con el segundo cuerpo. Comce Noreste, estuvimos en una reunión especial en Guadalajara con productores. Estuvimos en un evento de Produce también, que es el México Produce Conference en Guadalajara, que es el mismo de PMA que hacen en Estados Unidos, el más grande en toda América. Canacar, las oficinas estuvimos con ellos a nivel nacional, estuvimos en el Index Nacional también. Agentes aduanales estuvimos también, estuvimos en la en el puerto de Veracruz con, ¿cómo se llaman estos? Coppel, que es la Asociación de Limoneros, todos cruzan por aquí, casi todo lo que es cítrico que viene del puerto de Veracruz. Tuvimos una reunión que nos ayudó a coordinar el vice chairman. Y estuvimos agentes aduanales a nivel nacional también en Veracruz. Participamos, recibimos del gobierno de Zacatecas, tuvimos una reunión con ANAM, con el anterior director, o el anterior administrador, ya lo movieron. Tuvimos la visita de Comunicaciones y Transportes y asesores del gobernador y asesores del embajador en México, en Washington. Tuvimos a Majestic, bueno, algunas compañías corporativos. Estuvimos con el alcalde de Reynosa en su evento de protesta, ¿sí era? El primer informe de gobierno del señor Carlos Peña. Estuvimos también en Monterrey, en San Pedro, en una reunión, un mixer. Estuvimos en una visita con las personas que iban con nosotros a Naviestar. Comce, también tuvimos una reunión de presidentes en Monterrey. Estuvimos en Ciudad Victoria con el nuevo gobernador, el Index. Y bueno, eso es así en breve, por eso no me quise meter de detalle a detalle, pero bueno, pues lo pueden ver y si tienen alguna pregunta, pues lo más efectivo que hemos trabajado ahorita 9 meses es de que vamos a tener un segundo cuerpo en enero, empezamos, la constructora ya ha estado visitándonos, el Banco de México de Obras Públicas, que es Banobras o Fonadín, antes de que termine este año, si no es esta semana, la próxima semana, empezará a repartir lo que es el recurso para la construcción. Son casi 85 millones de dólares. Y bueno, pues seguimos trabajando y pues gracias por su confianza, ¿verdad? Y pues debemos de seguir porque vamos a tener que construir otro puente, ¿verdad? Cualquier duda, estoy para servirles. Gracias.
Pregunta.
¿De qué manera se gestiona con otros gobiernos para invitarlos a que utilicen el puente de Pharr? Por ejemplo, Nuevo León ha anunciado en los últimos días una serie de inversiones muy grandes para el estado de Nuevo León. ¿De qué manera ustedes solicitan o se ofrece el área aquí de Pharr para los cruces?
Contestando la pregunta en lo que es el área de Nuevo León tiene su propio puente que es Colombia y el mismo gobernador está haciendo promoción de sus parques industriales, de su puente y lo que es, estamos trabajando con ellos porque le estamos dando una opción a Laredo. Colombia está al lado de Laredo, ¿sí? Tiene menos de la mitad que nosotros de cruces hacia Estados Unidos. Aterrizaron ellos Kia Motors, están por establecer Tesla y lo que estamos buscando nosotros en este caso con el plan estratégico del puente o de la dirección del puente es buscar qué proveeduría viene de Estados Unidos hacia México que cruce por nosotros, ¿sí? Obvio por el peaje. Y en el área de gobierno de Tamaulipas, del gobernador, nos reciben el día 10 o 12, ¿no te dije, Luis? No, de enero. De enero, sí, el día 12 de enero nos recibe la oficina del gobernador con desarrollo económico y estamos pensando nosotros que para el mes de febrero vamos a hacer una reunión binacional federal en Pharr para dar lo que es el groundbreaking o el kickoff del inicio de construcción del puente. Eso va a ser a nivel nacional aquí en Pharr, lo estamos proyectando para acá y vamos a poder meternos en cualquier estado que podamos, ¿verdad? Y sí, la verdad, tenemos un proyecto para marzo en Sinaloa con el gobernador de Sinaloa, que es lo de Produce, retomando otra vez lo que es el área del Pacífico, en Guadalajara, en Jalisco también, y lo que es el Bajío. En el área de gobiernos, sí tenemos bastante accesos. Digo, la verdad es que hemos estado trabajando con casi todos los que exportan, ¿verdad? Entonces, desde Veracruz, Tabasco, Sinaloa, el Bajío, Michoacán, tenemos los accesos para poder entrar con toda la industria maquiladora o
¿Se sigue
exportación.
usando la carretera de Mazatlán a...
Sí, sí, por eso, dentro de ese plan estratégico, todo lo que viene del Pacífico lo exportan y le hemos quitado bastantes envíos a Nogales y se están viniendo por acá porque ahorran más tiempo, por viaje son $1,500 y son 12 horas de ahorro de tiempo, el estudio que se hizo hacia Boston. Entonces, comparándolo, si lo mandan a Nogales, tienen que mandarlo de Nogales hacia Dallas y subirlo al noreste de Estados Unidos. Con este proyecto que se hizo en gobierno federal de Mazatlán, Durango, Saltillo, Nuevo León y Tamaulipas, llega con nosotros y es el ahorro en tiempo y en dinero. Eso lo hicimos, ya hicimos el recorrido también hace como 3, 4 años con ellos. 2016 exactamente.
Yo, para comentar ahí nada más, para lo que está preguntando, señor Veas, que una de las cosas que hemos visto es de que nos funciona más o hay más retorno por dinero, por dólar invertido en las asociaciones a nivel nacionales, como el INDEX, Canacar, todo eso, que a veces la relación con
Los gobiernos.
Con los gobiernos, porque pues obviamente los gobiernos se rotan, se van. Obviamente hay que presentarnos, que sepan quiénes son, que somos una opción, pero gran parte de lo que nos ha ayudado a crecer ha sido presentarnos con las asociaciones, porque al fin pues el gobierno sugiere, pero la industria va marcando la tendencia y la pauta, a ver por dónde quieren cruzar, cómo quieren hacer las cosas, y bueno, eso es algo que sí nos ha ayudado bastante.
Sumando lo que dice el chairman, con la dirección del puente hemos hecho por regiones y por sectores exactamente dentro de su plan estratégico cómo buscamos los nuevos clientes, tanto en México y contrapartes en Estados Unidos para que crucen por medio de nosotros. Digo, suena más viable que usemos las asociaciones nacionales que de repente los mismos gobiernos, como vuelvo a repetir, por ejemplo, Nuevo León, pues tiene su propio puente, ¿verdad? Tamaulipas, pues tiene el puente de Matamoros y tiene el puente de Laredo. Entonces, ¿qué nos queda? Pues trabajar con ellos y darles una nueva opción. Cualquier duda, estoy aquí.
¿Otra pregunta? No,
Gracias.
Ezequiel.
Gracias.
Sí, muchas gracias, Ezequiel. The last thing I have is just the annual customer appreciation holiday social we just had. It was a successful event. I think we had at least a record-breaking amount of people, up to 400 people that we had at this event. One of the highlights of this is not only what we're doing for our customers, but what our customers are doing for us as well, right? We depend highly on our customers. If we're talking about, some of these customers are members of these trade associations that we're talking about. Some of these folks are also tied in one way or another with government as well. So there's different ways you can slice it, but if we do it at the end of the year, because it's like a Thanksgiving, it's threefold. It's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas, and celebrating the new year ahead. Again, about 400 people, and these are just some of the pictures. Everybody that you see here today, our executive team, they did a phenomenal job at putting this together. It takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of effort to make this work. And also one of the highlights was that, again, we offset our costs this year with sponsorships. We're not out there asking for sponsors. That is not our business, but we've been very successful at that because our customers are seeing the difference and they're coming to us and saying, hey, how do I participate? We've seen the numbers increase for start of the produce season. We're starting to see that now for this event as well. And we had, live coverage again, a lot of media attention. More importantly, a lot of customers. I want to thank everybody from the board that was out there. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for what you did to make this happen. El Cabrito, si no fuera por el Cabrito, digo, para el próximo año necesitamos otros 5 más porque se nos fue rápido el Cabrito.
No, Luis, ya me dijeron que me gané algo, pero pues me fui y me brincaron. ¿Qué pasó? Pero bueno.
But in celebrating the Christmas spirit, again, one of the things we're asking all the customers that attend this event is to bring an unwrapped toy. We were able to collect more than 250 toys. Wow. So thank you all that brought those toys. We were able to give that to the Pharr Police Department, and they had their Blue Santa event yesterday, and they were able to distribute those toys to the community. So again, these are events that are not just for trade, but they're community driven as well for quality of life. So again, just wanted to thank everybody for a phenomenal job. Thank you. We can't do Monday. Oh, there's a video. Okay, so we have a video too. Nobody said this meeting was going to be fast and easy, right? These are some of our major sponsors. We're doing something for them as well. Where's the video? Okay, stop. Is there sound?
There's gotta be sound, I'm pretty sure.
Snowed?
It always snows here in Pharr.
It always snows. Actually, during one of our events a few years ago, it did snow. That's the day that it did snow.
That it
And
snowed.
it was freezing cold. But as you can see, this is a whole production now. It's not just a small event. This is a full-blown production, and we couldn't be prouder. So how do we top it for next year? We just continue to think outside the box, continue to be the trendsetters, continue to invite the folks that help that are our lifeline, that continue to move trade forward through Pharr. And these guys, they've been doing really well in Pharr, right? I know the city's been hiring them also left and right
Yes,
for a
we
lot of
have.
the city events. So I know they're excited about what the future holds. So those that have not been, I highly recommend you attend next year. It's only going to get bigger. Happy times, exciting times. So again, just thank you to our mayor, our city manager for allowing us to host this event. Obviously, we could not do it without their support as well. Everybody takes home a gift. Pretty much everybody distributed over 100 presents, giveaways. Next month we'll bring a report, a financial report, to see how we offset the costs of this production with our sponsorships. So that's it for my director's report. I'm sorry it took longer, but we had to. This is a culmination of a lot of things. I know we were not here for a couple of meetings as we were closing out the end of the fiscal year, but I'm excited that we're here today. I want to thank everybody again, and we can move on to the administrative.
Well, congratulations on the party. It was great.
Congratulations to everybody. Thank you all.
And we'll go to administrative, and we'll need a motion for line item A, approval of the minutes for November 16, 2022. A motion by Mr. Hernandez, second by Mr. Beas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We also need a motion for discussion and action, if any, on the Asociación Nacional de Importadores y Exportadores de la República Mexicana, a titanium membership for 1,500. We need a motion for that.
Motion.
A motion from Mr. Martinez, second by Mr. Hernandez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are going to go to executive session, and in accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Section 551.071 through .087, the Pharr International Bureau hereby notice that it will now meet in a closed executive session to discuss the items listed in the public portion of the meeting. The time is 1:09. We're back from executive session, and the time is 1:37 p.m. And we're going to continue with line item C.
So we move on to 3C, discussion and action, if any, on renewal of Comce Noreste membership for $1,800 for the year.
Motion.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Martinez, second by Mr. Hernandez. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
We move on to item 3D, discussion and action, if any, on Comce Noreste institutional sponsorship 2023 for $1,950. This would be our second year.
Motion.
A motion by Mr. Martinez. Second by Mr. Beas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We move on to item 3E, discussion and action, if any, on proposal from World City for the 2022 Pharr Trade Numbers Book for $42,000. This is a savings of 36% compared to last year.
I make a motion.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Hernandez, second by Mr. Martinez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And the last one, 3F, discussion and action, if any, on professional service agreement with Bluestone Capital Solutions LLC for financial consulting.
I make a motion to extend contract for the 2 years.
Second.
Second by Mr. Martinez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And now we just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
A motion by Mr. Martinez. Second by Mr. Hernandez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Before we go, we want to wish everybody a
308.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. No los vemos.
Merry Christmas.
Likewise to everybody, thank you all for your support throughout this last year. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Que la pasen bonito. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.